The Denver Broncos are certainly moving on from Russell Wilson. With the 12th overall pick in the draft, could they take a rookie to start at quarterback in week one in the 2024 NFL season? Let's talk about that. I mentioned this is my last episode of quick thoughts on this channel, but I'm going to be doing a podcast episode, the third annual podcast episode with special guest Matthew Burwald, predicting all 32 week one NFL starting quarterbacks for the next season. And it's something we've done a couple, like I mentioned, three times, a couple times before that, before I did it on the pod. And we've been pretty accurate with it. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for that episode that's coming out. But it got me thinking about a few situations, and Denver's one of them. Denver's in a situation where they brought in Russell Wilson. They paid him a lot of money. He's got 5 years left on his deal. And they bring in Sean Payton to try to fix him, and it's clear that relationship didn't work out, and Russell Wilson's seemingly on the way out. The problem with that idea is that Russell Wilson, if cut, I believe his dead cap number is like 80 million. Let me see. I can actually pull it up. Russell Wilson contract. He's not getting cut. There's no way in the world. So where do they go from here? Okay, so dead cap. Yeah, $85 million this year. 49 the next year, 31 the next year. Yeah, they're not cutting him. Not cutting him whatsoever. So where does that leave them? That leaves them with a really expensive backup quarterback, or that leaves them with the guy who they have to hope another team believes in. And I don't know that that's necessarily going to be the case. While I value Russell Wilson as an NFL quarterback over the course of his career, I think his career has certainly taken a dip. And Seattle got out when, really when they should have. He moves on to Denver. He doesn't perform well. He has a better season last year, but still ends up getting benched. If a team's going to take a chance on him, it's because they don't have a lot of scenarios they're in love with. And maybe there's a team out there like that. Maybe, Pittsburgh drafting at pick 20, having a situation where Kenny Pickett's clearly not the guy. Mason Rudolph's clearly not the guy. Duck Hodges is clearly not the guy. Maybe they can't afford to bring in a guy like Kirk Cousins. Maybe Justin Fields is not someone they're interested in. Maybe Russell Wilson could be a guy who they draft and they come into the draft. I'm sorry, Russell Wilson is a guy they trade for, and they come into the draft and they take a guy in the second or third round to back him up and maybe start in the next few years. I mean, maybe that's a scenario that happens. But if there's no team that's desperate for him, you're not getting a lot back from him. In fact, I think you might have to package assets to get rid of him. He's getting paid 17 million base salary next year with an $8.4 million option. And then the following year, he's getting paid 37 million, then 40, then 44, then 50. That's crazy. Now they could cut him with a dead cap number. They'd probably cut him after next year. There's a potential out. I don't know if that's a player out or a team out. If it's team out, which I'm gonna assume it is, that would mean that let me see. That would mean that they could save what right around $100 million. Although he's still got a dead cap number, but it's not it's about 50 to 50 million. So they'd save about 50 million overall if they cut him after the next 2 years. Considering the dead cap number is higher than his salary is next year and the year after, I mean, he's at least going to play one more year on this contract, and then you can consider a release. Either way, not a great situation financially. And if you're paying him to be a backup, a team is, you got to get a lot of assets in return for that. And I don't know who that team is. Maybe it's a team that's desperate for a backup quarterback like my New York Jets, and they want him to back up Aaron Rodgers. Although I don't think they want to bring Russell Wilson back to Nathaniel Hackett because that didn't work out well last time. I don't know. At the end of the day, more my point, if they're going to move on from Russell Wilson, they're not cutting him. Could they have him back up a quarterback next year? Possibly. I wouldn't rule it out. I think it'd be incredibly awkward and a horrible team scenario, but I wouldn't rule it out. So the question is, who is that quarterback? Now, Kirk Cousins is an option at quarterback, but you're going to have to pay him. And if you keep Russell Wilson around, that's a lot of money to put to the quarterback position, way too much money. If you get off of Russell Wilson's contract, are you a significantly better team with Kirk Cousins, or are you better off hitting the reset button? I don't know. I'm not convinced Kirk Cousins would even be willing to go to Denver when Minnesota's probably going to pay top dollar for him. And then you've got a situation with, I say that because Justin Jefferson, who they're looking to sign to a long-term deal, wants Kirk Cousins at quarterback and is not willing to sign a long-term deal if he's not the quarterback, rumors say. So in order to keep one of the best wide receivers in the league, they kind of got to bring back Kirk Cousins. He's the best option anyway. So if he's not going to be available, who else is on the open market? Guys like Gardner Minshew, I don't think are long-term answers. Jacoby Brissett, I don't think is a long-term answer. You know, that kind of tier of quarterback. Baker Mayfield, I think it'd be difficult to pry him away from the Bucks. So I don't think that's an option. At the end of the day, maybe trading for Justin Fields is a realistic scenario. If the Bears want to keep that number 1 overall pick, draft Caleb Williams, quarterback out of USC, and move on from Justin Fields, maybe the Broncos feel like that's a solution. I don't hate that idea. I mean, I think if Chicago is trading Justin Fields, which I think is more likely by the day, at least in my opinion, Denver could be a team, you know, an AFC team that he could go to. I could also see him in Atlanta, in Pittsburgh, a number of places, depending on how those teams like quarterbacks in the draft. And that leads me to the draft. There's 3 consensus top 3 quarterbacks in the draft. That's USC's quarterback, the aforementioned Caleb Williams, Drake May from North Carolina, and Jaden Daniels, Heisman Trophy winner from LSU. And they're projected to go 1, 2, 3 to Chicago, Washington, or New England, or if any of those teams trade out to whoever trades up to that pick. And that leaves Denver at pick 12 with the potential to trade up to one of those, although I don't think that's likely, or the potential to take the 4th or 5th best quarterback, depending on who picks before them. I don't think there's going to be a lot of early quarterbacks after that point. From what I've seen, there's a lot of mixed reviews on guys like JJ McCarthy from Michigan, guys like Michael Penix Jr. from Washington, guys like Bo Nix from Oregon. But Denver is a team that could reasonably make an argument for taking a quarterback. If Sean Payton is in love with JJ McCarthy, who seems to be really rising up draft boards, taking him at pick 12 isn't crazy. I mean, you've seen plenty of good quarterbacks go at pick 12, right? Or around there. Patrick Mahomes went at pick 10. I believe Josh Allen was pick 7, something like that. Maybe pick 10. I can't remember. You know, plenty of quarterbacks in that range that have turned out to be great in recent years. So this is not unfathomable whatsoever. So if they're in love with JJ McCarthy, they believe his winning at Michigan could lead to winning in the NFL. They like his athleticism. Even though he didn't make a lot of huge plays in college, they like, you know, his raw ability. But maybe if they're in love with Michael Penix and the tough, you know, kind of guy he is. He played through injury throughout the playoffs, right? He was grimacing all through that college playoff. Really fought through injury, fought for his team. He's been through plenty of injury. I almost said injury luck, plenty of bad injury luck, and gotten through it and rehabbed and come back. That's part of the reason why he's one of the older quarterbacks being drafted in this draft, is because he's had so many injuries that took away college seasons from him. But if you fall in love with the arm talent and the accuracy, I don't hate the pick at pick 12. Bo Nix, I think there's less of an argument for. But if Denver's in love with one of those guys, I don't hate drafting him. And then maybe a guy like Gardner Minshew could be the pick there. Maybe a guy, I mean, could be the signing there. Maybe a guy like Jacoby Brissett could be the signing there. And you do what Indianapolis did with Gardner Minshew last year, and you start Gardner Minshew, and well, I guess they started Anthony Richardson, then he got hurt. But you have that option to start Gardner Minshew week 1 and let the rookie sit behind Gardner Minshew for a few weeks and then bring him in an easy point in the schedule to build his confidence and get the team around him and get him going and developing, but have a few weeks where the pressure's not on him. I don't know. At the end of the day, it's going to be a tough thing to project. But I think Denver's best option, if Justin Fields is not their guy, which I don't think he is, I think their best option could be getting someone in the draft, because I don't see a future with Russell Wilson with this team. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think Russ could stay and back up whoever they draft or whoever they sign? Do you think they're going to draft someone at pick 12 or a later point in the draft? Let me know what you think in the comments below about the Denver Broncos quarterback situation. Thanks for watching this Quick Thoughts episode. I hope you enjoyed. Peace out.